Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chum Change. This is live and recorded. I forgot to say happy Friday. Happy Friday, by the way. We have a lot of stuff to get into today. For anybody that's new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news or news in general in the space. Today, we had a major world outage, which is insane. They canceled a bunch of flights around the world. A bunch of computers are down. And yeah, let me know if you guys are having issues at your house or at your work, because that's it's kind of concerning. But we're going to get into some news on that, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Let's see who's in the chat, and then we will continue this. Mr. Geek of all trades, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. We have Automatic Beats, Nick K, Red Panda. Red Panda, what are you doing up so early, man? I'm just kidding. I know why you're up, but it's unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Mike the Miner, what's up, dude? Good to see you. We have Backatran. Good morning, sir. Steven Cicero, what's up, dude? Daddy Chill, good to see you. Everybody else I may have missed, I apologize. Let's do it. All right, we got Bitcoin, 64,200 bucks. Actually still looking pretty good, even though everything's kind of in the red. We got Ethereum at $3,400, just about. We have Solana, 162 bucks. XRP, 55 cents. ADA's at 41 cents. LTC's at $70.38. We got Caspa still holding strong at 17.8. It was actually same spot as it was yesterday, just about 18 cents. Pretty nice. Let's see, Dogecoin just under 12 cents. We got Pepe in the deep red today, down 5%. Shiba's down 2.31%. Let's see, MNT over here, 86 cents, up 5.79%. Looking pretty decent. Looking pretty decent. All right, let's move on. Crypto bubbles, we got a lot of stuff I want to watch because there is a bunch of news about this whole world outage thing. All right, so let's see. On the day, biggest loser seems to be WorldCoin. Does that have anything to do with the outage? Not sure, but it is down 9.5%. 97th for ranking, $2.59 at a $723 million market cap. We have MNT again. This is Mantle, 86 cents, up 5.4% on the day. That is the biggest earner of the day. Let's see, EGLD, Multiverse X. I don't even know what this is. $35. It is actually down 8% today. Everything else is kind of slightly down, not much, around 5% or so, except for like Immutable is down 7.8, $1.47. Gala's down 6.3, but everything else pretty much around the 5% range. All right, moving on. Flashbang Fear and Greed Index. We got, is this 60? Let's see if we update this. Yep, 60. Look at it. Wait, did they change this? Was it Extreme Fear 25? Maybe it was. I don't know. Last week we were in Extreme Fear 25. Today we are at 60. So pretty strange market we're kind of going through right now. It's kind of weird, right? Let's see. I fat fingered hiding Mike the Miner. Oh shoot. Shit, I don't know how to fix that. Are you sure you hit him? Mike the Miner, can you talk in the chat, please? If not, I'll have to fix this while we're watching a video because I got to go into my settings. Oh, you're good. All right, cool. All right, just wanted to make sure. Anyways, Fear and Greed Index is at a 60, so we're gonna have to see what happens there. All right, look at this. Trending. Bitcoin's in trending. Look at this. Probably gone. Nope, it's still there. 0.7%. That's pretty interesting. Rocky, this meme coin, the pet rock over here, 2 cents, 2.3. It's actually kind of a funny meme coin, to be honest. 7.1% up on the day, and Solidus AI is down 2% to 11 cents. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap on CoinGecko. We got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, Lido Staked Ether, XRP, Toncoin, and Dogecoin in 10th place, holding at a $17.3 billion market cap. We have Cardano over here in 11th place, just under a $15 billion market cap. Cardano again, I think it's an easy 6x. My opinion. You guys do what you want. Let's see, scrolling down a little bit, Litecoin in 23rd place, 70 bucks. Pretty decent area to still buy, in my opinion. Caspa holding 28th place. I'm still shocked the Caspa's like in top 30. Let's see. You lost. What did I lose? What I lost? What did I lose? What are you saying? What happened? In the chat, 20 GPU rig. What are you saying? Let me know, please. All right, ETC is at let's see, $22.78, ranked 31st. Again, we're still over 80% down on this coin. I think ETC is going to do just fine. We're gonna have to see though. $167 all-time high. Every bull run we have a nice pump up. All right, should be doing all right. All right, anyways, I'm not going to talk too much about this anymore. I want to run over to the mining segment of things. Let's see what we got over here Guys know I like to timestamp this stuff. And what in the hell is going on here? The DR7 120 terahash unit seems to be top of the charts above all Caspa miners. This needs to go down in the books. Caspa finally dethroned the first time. What in the hell? That's terrible. That's awful. Sia coin takes top of the charts. Where's power mines when we need them? This is $61.59 a day this thing's making. Crazy. The KS5 Pro 21 terahash unit, back to the Caspa miners, over here making $61.40 a day. We have the KS5 20 terahash unit making let's see, 58.47. The KS5M 15 terahash unit making 41.09. The KS5L 12 terahash unit making 31.24. The gold shell AL box mining a lithium 720 gigahashes, 360 watts, 25 lithium a day, making $30.24 a day. Lithium is gonna take a beating. And I can't even search Twitter if I'm not logged in, am I? God damn it. All right, let me see. Somebody put a link in the chat for the new lithium miner that Bitmain just dropped. Please throw that in the chat. I want to see it. BMKS Max 11 terahash unit and the KS6 2632. We have the Windminer K9 2590 over here. That's a 10.3 terahash unit. We got the Antminer L9 16 gigahash unit, making 1895. KS3 is making 1859. We have the KS3M making 1154, and the AL box actually is making 1512. That's a 360 gigahash unit at 180 watts. See, these units, like, I don't know. All right, it's gonna be very hard for them to be unprofitable at this wattage, in my opinion, but we're gonna get a beating when it comes to lithium, because Bitmain just dropped this. Thank you, Crypto KJ and Mr. Panda in the chat. We have a lithium mining with superior performance, 15.6 terahashes, 720 gigahashes is the AL box 2. That's the one I'm supposed to be getting, so I'll be reviewing that soon. But $30.24 a day. How much is this thing gonna make a day? 15 terahashes. Hold on, we gotta go look over here on the mining pool stats.stream. Let's go to lithium, see if this calculator. This calculator down here, right? Ah, all right. What do we got? What was it? Damn it, lost it. What was it? 17? 15. 15.6. All right, so 15.6. What's that? 15,000 gigahashes. 15.6. $151 a day. Is that right? I think that's right. I think that would be right. Right, so that would be obviously you got 3,510 watts, right? So you're gonna be paying a decent amount. This is like running a normal ASIC, like a Bitcoin miner, right? So the wattage is pretty high. This is kind of going to be unfeasible for a lot of people. Look at these crackhead prices, though. Are we going to talk about these? $41,800. Get the f out of here. Hell no. Hell to the no. I'm not buying that thing. Dude, I could buy my Tesla instead of this. Bruh. Hell no. Bitmain's on crack, dude. They're selling crack. Salt to a slug. That's what they can do. They can sell that. It's crazy, but that's a lot of money a day. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, I like how they, oh shit, you know what, let me open that again. Hold on, let me open this again. All right, I like how they put this in like big and white, 29,260 bucks a unit, and then they put after coupons. What coupons are you giving that's taking $10,000+ off? Blow me. There's no way. No way. That's insane. Anyways, I would still personally, my opinion, if I was going to take a gamble on a lithium, I'd be buying a smaller unit, not something for $40,000. That's insane. Even 6,000. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see how this thing performs, but who knows. A lithium at the end of the day, let's see what it's looking like. A lithium's gonna take a fucking beating. Excuse my language, but it is. It's gonna take a beating. $1.25. It has jumped up. So I'm wondering what we're going to see here. I'm wondering if Bitmain is going to pump the price of lithium because they have the money to do so, right? This is totally like conspiracy theory bullshit, right? But they must do this. They must put money into a coin to push it, right? And just continue to push it, because as soon as these things go online, they dump. Like the money just comes right out of the market. So I don't know, but you know, tinfoil hat moment. That's what I think is going to happen. That's just my opinion. I feel like they're going to pump this coin. It's going to get closer to $2, and then we're going to see a major sell-off when those things start selling. I don't know though. I mean, to each his own. Do what you want. Spend your money how you want to do it. Don't listen to people on YouTube. All right, Bitmain Antminer L79050 over here. You guys know I got this thing down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them. $7.46 a day on this unit. This thing, I don't think you guys can go wrong with Litecoin Miner if you guys are looking into getting miners. Dogecoin, Litecoin, these two, they've been these L7s have been profitable throughout the entire bear market. The L9 is probably going to be following the same suit on the next cycle. That's just my opinion. Scrolling down, the KS0 Ultra 400 gigahashes. There's a firmware update for these things now. You can get 640 or something, 650 gigahashes for like 200 watts in this thing. But as of right now, 400 gigahashes at 100 watts, making $1.07 a day. Again, this is after 10 cents per kilowatt hour. The KS0 Pro 200 gigahash unit is making 42 cents. That's pretty terrible. We got the Ice River KS0 100 gigahash unit, 65 watts, making 17 cents a day. That's really bad. I got the Mini Doge 3. If you guys didn't see my video, I just dropped it. Shout out to Gold Shelf, sending this thing over for a review. I'm going to be getting this in the solar trailer at some point. It was actually on low power mode. This thing was only like 300 watts or so. That's not even the Pro. I'm not even looking at the right one. Plus, I keep calling it the Pro. Plus, sorry, 810 mega hashes, right? This is the one they sent me. It's like 300 watts or so in low power mode. It gets like 650-ish for mega hashes, so it's not bad. But unfortunately, Dogecoin and Litecoin are just really in the dumps right now, so you're only making 16 cents a day. So yeah, can't say I'd recommend purchasing it, but it's, you know, again, teach his own. Do what you guys want. The S19K Pro, you guys know I got this thing down at Terra Hosting as well. 120 terahashes, losing 31 cents a day. Bruh. That's if I was mining Bitcoin Cash. I'm realistically losing over 50 cents a day because I'm mining Bitcoin. Anyways, all right, moving on to GPUs. Let me pull up the chat again so I can see what you guys are saying in there. Let's see. Is there any Groupons for that? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to take a beating, since the ASIC will kill that lithium farm and the daily sell pressure from it. I don't know, Ted. I'm on the other side of the fence from you, buddy. I think the lithium's gonna take a beating. Honestly, there's no way around it. The sell pressure is gonna be insane. They're selling these things for almost 40K. Like, listen, people aren't gonna not sell. You know what I mean? They're not just gonna hold 40K in a bag and hope for it to go up. I'd rather buy 40K in a lithium right now, and that's exactly what I would do. Patrick Murphy, 100%. That's what I actually did. Before I decided to purchase a Caspa miner, I was going to buy like a KS1 or a KS2, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I purchased the Caspa instead of doing that, because by purchasing the Caspa, I 3x my money easy. So I put 7 grand into Caspa at the time, and yeah, it's a decent amount of Caspa now at this point. So I'm happy I did that. It was definitely a good decision. So I mean, I would probably, if you're gonna do something crazy like that, that would be the route I would go. That's just my personal opinion. You guys do what you want. Again, we have Nvidia 170 HX over here. Mining Zealous seems to be top of the charts. Next on the top of the charts with the 4090. You got Bitcoin Gold, Ironfish, and Husat over here on the 4080. Dual mining that. We got Chlor top of the charts for the 7900 XT. Interesting. Zealous all the way down the 30 series, and Conflux and Husat. We got Firo still poking its head in this place. So you guys got a decent amount of coins to pick from. Pyron top of the charts, the 4070 Super. Interesting. Cortex, the A4000. Grin on the 6950 XT. Interesting. All right, moving on. Mining pool stats.stream. I'm not even going to show this anymore. New coins, events calendar. There's literally nothing on this site. All right, let's move on to the news, because there's a whole bunch of shit that I want to hear. So we got major technical outages worldwide. So apparently we're getting the blue screen of death everywhere. Let's see what they got to see over here, guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it. This just came out like 20 minutes ago.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Want to update you now on the global computer outage. It's affecting just about everything, from airlines to hospitals. If you were just waking up this morning and you have some product or something that works with CrowdStrike and Microsoft Azure system, want to get straight over to Steve Kovac, who's going to join us now with more. Steve, where are we?
Hey there, Andrew. Yeah, let's go over what we know so far here. This is an issue with the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. First up, let's get this out of the way. CEO George Kurtz saying on X, this is not a hack or some kind of cyber attack. CrowdStrike pushed out an update, he said, that caused the outage, and they're rolling it back, and a fix has been deployed. Let me read the statement for you here. Quote, CrowdStrike is actively working with customers impacted by a defect found in a single content update for Windows hosts. Mac and Linux hosts are not impacted. This is not a security incident or cyber attack. The issue has been identified, isolated, and a fix has been deployed, end quote. Now, it's unclear when things are going to recover, but it caused Windows PCs managed by CrowdStrike security products to reboot and show that so-called blue screen of death. It's been taking down operations that we've been saying all morning at a slew of companies, from TV networks like ours to airlines like Delta and United to major banks. Microsoft also acknowledged the outage as well on its technical support website, putting the blame on CrowdStrike and saying it forced Windows devices to get stuck in a rebooting loop. And now we're waiting for more updates from both CrowdStrike and Microsoft about when everything will be back online. But importantly, after that, we got to find out what went wrong here, Andrew.
Jesus.
In terms of payments, I don't know how this works, but for those businesses that are affected, do companies like CrowdStrike or Microsoft pay out? Are there insurance programs for this type of thing in this particular moment?
Yeah, I'm not sure about insurance programs, but the contracts typically do have things that, talk about when an outage is happening and then it's CrowdStrike's fault and so forth. I could guarantee you, though, that's all going to be worked out since this is impacting so many companies. I mean, just the fact that so many airlines went down by this, you can just imagine how much sales are being lost and so forth by this. That's all.
Yeah, they canceled like a shit ton of flights, apparently, because they all run off of these systems.
Going to get shaken out later, but yeah, those are typically written in those contracts, Andrew.
And then in terms of timing, getting back online today, do you have any sense of just what that path looks like?
Not at all. All we have to go on right now, we haven't heard specifically from Microsoft, for example, just that technical support page. No update on when the timing is. All we know so far is that CrowdStrike's saying that they've pushed out the update and they found the fix and it's rolling out now. That's all we know so far. As of timing, when things are going to come back online, that's still to be determined. We'll have more updates for you as we get them, Andrew.
And then, Steve, here's just the larger question. It's really the issue, I think, that Becky raised at the top of the program, which is we are now so interconnected. One of the things that the cloud does is create this interconnection. Is there a different way to do it?
That is a question I was asking myself too, and I was thinking today, like, why do all these companies use this one company as their way to maybe take a lesson from this and learn, maybe diversify the kind of systems you use or something like that? That's all going to have to be shaken out. But I'm also reminded, I know this incident is likely not a hack, but I'm reminded of what we learned about from AT&T just a couple days ago about that massive hack that they had and that exposure, and that seemed to be related to snowflakes. So many of these companies are containing so much data, and just one little break into a system or one little accident can just take down a cascading effect throughout the entire internet, as we're seeing this morning. So that's definitely true. And what the fix for that is, who knows? But perhaps it is not putting all your eggs in one cybersecurity basket.
I was just trying to figure out how you could have redundancy like that. I mean, I can't get into my computer on this. Redundancy is not going to probably be something where I've got two different cloud service computers that are running just for this. It seems like it's a pretty complex issue, unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that so many businesses are reliant on, mostly Microsoft, for these things. So again, when Microsoft has a problem or one of their partners or vendors has a problem, it just cascades and impacts everyone. I'm looking at a blue screen of death right now on the computer next to me. And we're having our own issues right now just getting some graphics and so forth on air. I mean, this is this is serious. This shows you how interconnected we are and how one little issue can just totally take things down.
Although I think what's even more concerning, the reason we've talked so much about the airlines is because that's a very visible it's a situation where people are showing up at airports, in some cases being told to show up 3 hours before their flights, long lines out for all over the place. Now, I know some of these issues are coming back up and running, but to be faced with these issues in the morning, starting at like 5 a.m. when things really get busy here on the East Coast at some of those airports, to think of the lines, to think of how that shuts things down. That's just the visual ramifications.
Look at all the freaking planes waiting. That's insane.
The visual picture of what's happening in all types of industries. You can just see it physically when you're looking at lines of people in the airports. As you mentioned, we don't see the people who get turned away from business who don't get to do things, but the massive lost productivity as a result of that.
Oh my God, dude, I would be going out of my mind. I can't stand airports.
Something to really contemplate.
Yeah, exactly. And when so many, people are trying to log into their corporate PCs today and they see that blue screen of death, like we are here at NBC, I mean, that's an issue. That's, like you said, that's loss of productivity here. And again, when one company or two companies or a small number of companies have such a dominant position and market share, this is what happens. It takes it all down.
Well, at least it's a Friday in the summer. Take the day off.
Yep, Friday in the summer. Take the day off and it's paid. Perfect. This is a black eye moment for CrowdStrike and cyber security sector. Let's see what they got to say over here again on CNBC television. Guys, that like button, please. We got 30 likes. 69 people here.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
I want to get back to the global computer outage, which is affecting folks across the world right now. It just happened after CrowdStrike rolled out an update last night. Dan Ives just put out a note on CrowdStrike on how they're going to need to go into damage control mode and what comes next. Dan, thank you for joining us. What does come next, and what is this going to cost the company?
Well, there's a black eye moment for CrowdStrike, and I'd say for the cybersecurity sector. Now, the damage, look, it's going to be weeks, months, potentially years in terms of understanding the damage. The big issue is the brand damage.
What the hell? Somebody donate? Oh, Rude Puts. I didn't even see that. 249 super chat, dude. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Long live Linux. It's Friday. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat. You're awesome, buddy.
Damage. Because CrowdStrike today becomes a household name, but not in a good way. Now, with George and the team, I don't think this changes the long-term story, but other competitors, Palo Alto and others across, they will try to take advantage of this. That'll be a big focus in the sector.
Do you think that there is a liability issue here? Meaning if you're an airline, like an American airline or whoever, where there's a ground stoppage and they're losing money as those planes are sitting on the tarmac, can they go ahead and sue CrowdStrike?
If you're a lawyer for CrowdStrike, I don't think you're going to be seeing the beach this summer.
Oh,
because this is going to be coming from probably all angles, right? Legally, not just airports, transportation companies. Now, look, Microsoft needs to figure it out from their angle. Now, they're more, I'd say a victim here relative to what happened on the Windows side. So I think less of an issue for Microsoft. Look, for CrowdStrike, you're talking about a company that prides itself on brand. F1, globally, anyone that's seen them at airports. And this is just, look, it's an epic disaster. It's something
insane.
we've really never seen in the cybersecurity industry at this scale. So this is a bit unprecedented.
In terms of the way we were talking more broadly about what happens next and the sort of larger implications of our reliance on the cloud. Do you think this changes anything about the way systems are set up more broadly, about the third parties that are used by a Microsoft, about even the idea of consolidation in these spaces?
Yeah, and after this happens, changes will have to happen. Because the scale of something like this, there will be changes in terms of third-party implementation, updates, not just for CrowdStrike, but across the industry. Because this is unprecedented. And it's not just black eye for CrowdStrike, black eye for the cybersecurity industry.
When you say changes, self-regulated changes, or do you think the government gets involved?
I think it will be self-regulated, but the chances that CrowdStrike gets called to the Beltway for some hearing is probably pretty high.
Yeah, Dan, when you say changes that happen, you mean Microsoft and other companies aren't going to let third parties come in, third-party vendors, and do cybersecurity for them, that they will do more of this in-house?
Well, I think they're going to have to change in terms of the process on the updates, and then just take a step back. Google likely, probably acquires Wiz, and probably one of the biggest cybersecurity acquisitions is reported by the Wall Street Journal. I think this is just going to push Microsoft further and further to potentially trying to do a cybersecurity acquisition themselves. I mean, they've been around the sort of edges there, right. But this is something within Redmond. They don't just, go next week like nothing ever happened.
But that
Chuck Danger, who is the black guy he keeps talking about too. I thought it sounded like he said that at the beginning. That was so funny. I couldn't help but smile. I'm like, it so sounded like he just said that instead of black eye. It sounded like guy.
Meaning that, how do things happen now? Was this a third-party vendor that was allowed to do the update? They sent it internally and it happened, and nobody at Microsoft realized that there was this problem or bug in it, and you think that has to be then happening internally, which is why they would want to purchase one of these companies? And if so, who do they purchase?
Call code. Have a good day, buddy.
I think on the Microsoft side, look, third-party updates are common. That's happening on a minute-to-minute basis. In terms of Microsoft, we've talked about they're going to have to look across the industry. Cybersecurity has been something that, normally they have third parties, and they will continue to have third parties, Palo Alto, Zscaler, and others. But I do believe when something like this happens, you look at names like a Varonis, a Tenable, right. CyberArk. Those are names that to us kind of are front and center in terms of, potential acquisition candidates.
Dan, is your
their stock today is down 9.58% to $310 CrowdStrike's.
Sense that this makes it more likely or less that regulators would allow a transaction between a Google and Wiz, for example?
Taking a slight shit. What do you expect, I guess?
So on that extent, I would view that it would actually be more likely, because I think it shows some of the dangers, in terms of what we see from some of these third-party updates. I also think obviously it depends on the regulatory environment, but this is something that actually bodes more positive for M&A between big tech and cyber rather than the opposite, because it shows here, and this will be a moment that we'll remember in tech, for decades, to make sure that something like this never happens again. From the gold standard, CrowdStrike. That's the ironic thing.
Dan, can I ask you a question? And maybe it's my naivete. For reasons that seem inexplicable to me, these things don't seem to happen to, knock on wood, to Apple devices. Why do you think that is?
It's the nature of the Mac and Apple ecosystem, because of those updates, because everything is controlled within the four walls of Apple Park. And that's why they have 2.2 billion iOS devices. But also remember, Apple very rarely plays in enterprise. Microsoft does. So Apple's less exposed on the enterprise, much more obviously on the consumer side. But that's also why Apple, Cook, Cupertino are in the Mount Rushmore, along with Microsoft and others.
Hey, Dan, we do have some video of George Kurtz. He's the CEO of CrowdStrike, and he was just on the Today Show. Here's what he had to say to the Today Show.
The system was sent an update, and that update had a software bug in it and caused an issue with the Microsoft operating system. And we identified this very quickly and remediated the issue. And as systems come back online, as they're rebooted, they're coming up and they're working. And now we are working with each and every customer to make sure that we can bring them back online.
Dan, I guess working with each and every customer is going to take a while. I'm still looking at the balloon screen of death, haven't gotten a call from them just yet. I guess this is the obvious, though. This is what you were talking about, that they are going to have to look at ways to change that system. The idea that they were able to upgrade the system, it had a bug in its own software. You're right. Microsoft's going to have to get their arms around this, too.
And also, look, Kurtz is probably, in my opinion, one of the best tech CEOs in the world. So if there's one person that can navigate this, it's Kurtz and CrowdStrike. But this is going to be a Mount Everest-like uphill battle in terms of what they're dealing with here. The global nature, airports, transportation, DC subway, and others. There's a long road ahead here. We remain bullish on the sector, but now
I wonder if this is going to be a goodbye in, like, I don't know, a couple of days. See how See how far it goes down.
We need to see how this all plays out for CrowdStrike over the coming weeks, months.
Yeah, Kurtz actually was at McAfee before, too. You're right. He is somebody who has a very long resume and a long history of working in this industry and has a lot of respect.
Yeah, if you want one person to unfortunately be in this situation, it's Kurtz.
Don't want anyone to be in that situation. That sucks. All right, let's see what else they got to say over here about this whole global outage. If anybody's just joining, we've had a blue screen of death all across the world.
Microsoft and cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike suffering a major outage overnight. If you're just waking up, you might be seeing it on your own screen with what's called the blue screen of death. Hopefully it's getting updated as we speak, but it's leaving many businesses unable to access their computer systems, including, by the way, some of ours here at NBC. Want to get some reaction right now from Rohit Chopra. He's the director of Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We've got a couple other things to talk about as well. This was obviously not on our bingo card, Rohit. But what is your initial reaction to this as somebody who thinks about these issues and the financial system in particular?
Well,
Game with Smokey Dan said, I bet this was done to take away from what happened to DT, Donald Trump. Yeah, honestly, it wouldn't shock me. Did you hear the thing they put out about that? Actually, it was like saying like what the kid searched, the guy that like shot or tried to assassinate Trump. They said that he was searching schedules of Donald Trump and Biden to kind of put Biden in the light, like, oh, he could have been at risk too, to like kind of make it seem like it wasn't just about getting Trump.
Andrew, as of right now, we do not have any
Crazy.
reports yet from the banks and others we regulate that there is a major outage in terms of a critical payment system or a very large bank. That being said, I think we are just getting a taste of some of the potential effects of a real reliance by the financial sector and sectors across the economy on really a handful of cloud companies and other key systems. In the past few months, obviously, we saw some effects of cyber attacks, ransomware attacks in the healthcare arena, in auto dealers, others. This is the type of situation that can really create issues across the economy. I'm pretty hopeful that what we will see today is inconvenience more than chaos. But of course, we're just getting a taste of it. So, you know, Andrew, 2 days ago, the Treasury, myself, others, we announced some actions related to resilience of the financial system and dependence on the cloud. There are just a handful of big cloud companies where so much of the economy is now resting on. And so we're going to really need to take a hard look at this. But my priority today is making sure that consumers can access money in their bank accounts, that payments can occur. And so we're going to be watching it minute by minute and have been working on it all morning.
Just speak to that larger issue, though, because I think a lot of people do wake up on a morning like this and say to themselves, do we need more competition? Do we need different players, more players? At the same time, you say to yourself, all of these systems need to be so tightly integrated to work properly. And in many ways, you'd almost want them to be singular as well, right? It's sometimes these little bottlenecks from third-party players that link in, like CrowdStrike. And so how do you think about that?
Yeah, I think sometimes what we fail to appreciate is that certain parts of the tech stack are as critical to our infrastructure of our economy than the energy grid and transportation. So we have to start confronting some of these really tough problems. And I do think that the creep of concentration does play a role in undermining our resilience. It is obviously important to have interoperability for systems to be able to talk to each other. But if you just look at how one company that may sometimes be unknown to the public can really have a domino effect. So I think as we look at concentration across the economy, especially in technology and other sectors, we're just going to need to protect the broader public and businesses across sectors from some of these types of disasters that can occur.
Raheem, meantime, while we have you here, and it was really our intention to talk about it, you have put together a proposal around paycheck advance fees, which I know you believe are way out of line, I think, with what they should be. What are you doing in this regard, and maybe you can explain it to the audience?
Well, during the pandemic, we saw a big uptick in companies working with employers to help their employees get paid more quickly. So instead of paying them more frequently, they would work with a fintech or other company. And so we took a hard look at this entire industry, and our analysis showed that some of these arrangements lead to very, very high cost lending exceeding 100% APR. A lot of those workers end up getting into a series of loans where they pay lots of money in fees. So I think we wanted to make sure that the employees and the workers are able to really clearly compare their options with credit cards and other types of loans, and that we don't have a race to the bottom. But I want to make sure that big employers don't have a big financial incentive to continue to delay payment to their employees if they're also getting in the business of lending to their workers.
Right. Reid, I have a broader question, which is just how you think about your role and the timing of your role right now as it relates to this election, given where the polls are and the way it appears to be trending towards former President Trump. Are there things you want to try to do while you're in this place today? Does it change the dynamic with which you and your colleagues think about what they're doing?
Not really. In the case of the regulators, we have such big items in front of us in terms of how the economy is really working. We've seen some big changes through the course of the pandemic, and really as the changes in monetary policy have filtered through the mortgage market, the credit card market. So we're pretty laser focused on that. But of course, we are in Washington, and we keep an eye on everything, but we're really fixated on how to make sure that consumers in the economy are able to navigate the current situations they face. And in many cases, they're facing some pretty high rates on their credit cards and mortgages, and we're thinking about how to make sure we can solve problems in their lives.
You may not be able to answer this, but I'll just ask it anyway. Former President Trump, I don't think, was a fan, as you know, of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. However, it appears that J.D. Vance, who may be his running mate or will be his running mate in this, seems to be more of a fan. What do you make of that dynamic?
Well, I always think that the work that agencies like the CFPB do, maybe in Washington they food fight, but in America, people realize that there needs to be some sort of watchdog to really look after and protect not just households, but also the businesses that are playing fairly. I think we've recovered tens of billions of dollars from fraudsters, bad actors, and honestly, that sometimes feels like a Washington debate rather than one that is a real issue. So I know that the markets have benefited a lot from the work of the CFPB, the mortgage market especially. So we just chug along, Andrew.
Interesting. All right, moving on. Let's see. China is the China is the single biggest I can't even say that word. I can't speak today. I'm just going to play the video. Forget it.
Let's talk a little bit more about the markets right now. The chip sector actually hitting a rough patch this week after some comments that were made by both of the presidential candidates in terms of relations with China and Taiwan. Joining us right now to recap the significance of this week's events on that sector is Ben Reitzes. He is Melius Research Head of Technology.
Why do I feel like she's talking super loud?
Head of Technology Research, I should say. Ben, let's talk a little bit about what we heard yesterday, because it was stunning. You came in and you looked at the chips, and they were really taking a hit, down 4 or 5% in some cases. The comments that came out were first the Biden administration basically saying that it's going to be putting some additional limits on what can be given to China in terms of some of the chip equipment makers. Then you heard also from President Trump, former President Trump, that he'd be looking at the question of whether Taiwan should be helping foot the bill for security if the United States steps in to help it on those levels. What did you think as a chips analyst coming into those two headlines?
Well, the market had been pretty lackadaisical about the China thing for a little while. We almost forgot about it, and then it rears its head. It is the single biggest risk existentially to chip stocks. So when they come out and say these kind of things, the market can tend to react. I think over the long term, things will work themselves out. But China at Taiwan is the epicenter of production, of ODMs, of folks that assemble servers and PCs as well. And when these kind of things are talked about, there can be an adverse reaction. I do think over the long term, though, there is a movement towards chips in terms of them being the most valuable oil of tech, and it's not stopping anytime soon. So I think this will sort itself out, and we'll get back to fundamentals, but it was a rough week.
I was going to say, it must be a bizarre thing to try and figure out how to value these companies, where if everything's fine, these are the fundamentals we go on. But this other issue is more important, overriding on everything. Do you just have to ignore it to some extent?
Well, I think a lot of people are just hoping for the best. It is so unanalyzable, and it's everybody's nightmare that something were to happen. There's so many funds and clients and analysts just hoping that nothing ever happens. But I will say that, I think Donald Trump, over his record, he views the stock market and the economy in a certain way as his scorecard. And if he wants to keep his scorecard going, he's got to make sure Taiwan is stable and then systematically help move jobs to the U.S. It can't be like some kind of start-stop type of thing, and that'll be very disruptive.
Now, that's an interesting point. When you look at the chips sector overall, NVIDIA has been the one that has taken off, but you've also said what's happening with Apple is pretty important. So how would you rate these stocks? Which ones are your favorite and why?
Well, I cover 4 of the Mag 7, and I would say that typically, seasonally, NVIDIA had a great run, and there's usually some digestion. This is at the same time last year, everybody was like, oh, what about AMD? What about Broadcom? What about these guys? And similar things are echoing. While Apple, what I really love about Apple is this could be the biggest cycle, on a percent that we've ever seen. This is the most loyal install base being told you have to upgrade to get one of these zillion features. And I thought there was something for everyone. And I think that's going to resonate. It already is. We're already seeing builds go up. But Apple could systematically grow iPhone sales through this and catalyze AI for the masses. They really can, because a lot of people are like, AI, it sounds great. We don't really use it day to day, except for ChatGPT. And these guys are going to give you examples on how to use it for the masses. Google announces stuff. People sometimes goes past people because Google's a little technical. But when Apple does it, it can go mainstream. So I like what we're seeing there.
Interesting. All right, let's see. One last clip I want to watch. Replacing taxes with tariffs, breaking down Trump's tariff for tax cuts plan. Let's see what they got to say over here. Guys, the like button. Appreciate you for hanging out.
We're going to talk right now about former President Trump's tax plan and what it would mean for the country if it comes to fruition. Former Council of Economic Advisors Chairman Jason Furman is here. He's a professor at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. And E.J. Gentoni is an economist at the Heritage Foundation.
This guy? he was actually on Newsmax with Hawk Crypto, and he believes in gold over Bitcoin. He's one of them. E.J.,
I'm going to go to you first. When you think about what you heard from the president last night, but maybe more in detail, we I think have a better understanding of what his tax plan would be from that Business Week article where he said he was going to bring the corporate rate down to 15%.
Why is it 2 of them?
What do you think it does for revenue?
What the hell just happened? I looked away for like 4 seconds.
From that Business Week article where he said he was going to bring the corporate rate down to 15%.
Someone messed up.
What do you think it does for revenue overall, long term?
Well, in terms of overall and in the long term, we definitely see increases. We have this fallacy that somehow corporations pay taxes. They don't. People pay taxes. The corporate tax rate is passed on. It's passed on to shareholders in the form of lower returns. It's passed on to customers in the form of higher prices. It's passed on to workers in the form of lower wages. And so by reducing the taxes that corporations pay, you not only increase economic growth, but you also decrease the tax burden on each of those 3 groups.
Jason, you there?
Yeah. I mean,
okay,
look,
so
the tax
let's talk about it. to me, the question is not just what it does to revenue, but what it does to overall revenue, including, by the way, individual taxes, and of course, whether whatever total bounty is collected is going to be enough to deal with the debt and deficits and even just our day-to-day costs.
Yeah, I mean, look, this Laffer curve thing here is nonsense. The Tax Foundation is a conservative organization. They're enthusiastic about tax cuts. They've said that these corporate tax cuts would cost something like $750 billion. I don't know a single credible Republican economist who thinks these tax cuts would come close to paying for themselves. But how are they going to be paid for? They might actually be paid for. And that's the remarkable thing, by a proposal to raise tariffs on every single American consumer. So you're sitting at home, if you've bought a toy, you've bought a TV, you've bought a car, there's a good chance that some or all of what is in that came from abroad. You're going to be paying a higher price on all of that. And that's what's going to be paying for these corporate tax cuts, is tax increases on the middle class. Really, really poorly designed, growth-reducing tax increases.
EJ, you want to reply to that?
Oh, sure. You know, the exact same people who are saying this now also said that Trump's tariffs that he put in place in his first term were going to do the exact same thing, and that didn't happen at all. In fact, several analyses were done, and they found that about 80 cents on every dollar of tariffs was not passed through to American consumers, but instead was paid for by Chinese producers. And so this idea that somehow if you increase taxes on foreign producers, it's automatically going to result in a pseudo tax increase on the American middle class, the data just don't support that at all.
Jason?
In his first term, Trump raised taxes on people that bought things like washing machines. This time he's raising taxes on people that buy anything that has any component that's made abroad. That's $3 trillion. Economists have studied the incidence question. There's a lot of questions on this. Yes, a little portion of it is born abroad. But by the way, a lot of that corporate tax cut is a corporate tax cut that benefits foreigners. So I'm not quite sure why you'd want to do a corporate tax cut that gives money to foreign shareholders while telling Americans they have to pay more taxes on virtually every good that they buy.
EJ, does that make sense to you? I mean, look, as I'm hearing Jason talk about it, and then there's the second question, by the way, of if you get down to 15%, how much does that change the game? Getting down to 21% was one thing. 15 is a whole different level. Does it make the U.S. even more competitive? Yes, except it really brings you in a place where how much more investment will you actually get as a result of it?
It's a great question. And again, if we look at the record of the first Trump term, we can see that we had a lot of re-onshoring, I should say, of corporations. And that resulted in an increase in economic activity. And in the long run, that increases your revenue as well. Look, we don't have a revenue problem at this point in this country. When we look at the federal budget, we have a spending problem. And what we need to do is increase not the tax rates, because that's not really going to bring in much more revenue. We need to increase growth, and we need to decrease spending. That is the only way you're ever going to be able to address this country's long-term fiscal trajectory.
That may be true, but there's no conversation about reducing spending. And so what we're just doing is, in some ways, maybe increasing revenue, but maybe not.
Well, certainly we need to have a conversation about decreasing spending. But in the current political environment where you have essentially a divided Congress and you have a White House that wants nothing but to spend more, especially on all their useless green energy projects, that's never going to happen.
Jason, final word to you, sir.
You asked me to devise a plan for economic growth. I'd say broaden the base, lower the rates. I would not say put on lots and lots of tariffs, and I would not say do tax cuts that you can't afford. I think 90% of Republican economists would agree with everything I just said. It's a shame that the president...
Real quick, when you say broaden the base, how would you do it, and what number would you bring it down to, both on personal and then separately on the corporate rate?
Look, on the personal, I think we could basically keep the tax rates we have now. If we were aggressive about broadening the base, you could do it with things like the health exclusion, the mortgage deduction. But most people, other than me and maybe a previous guest of yours, Doug Holtz-Eakin, would want to do something like that. On the corporate side, I don't think there's much base broadening left, which is why no one's proposed it. So, you know, the rate we have now is completely fine. In fact, we may not even be able to afford to stick with that rate.
Fuck to and spit on that thing.
All right, moving on. New multi-billion-dollar deal adds to rising trend of Bitcoin miners moving to AI. Let's see what they got to say about crypto stuff over here on CNBC Crypto World. Let's do it.
Today, a multi-billion-dollar deal adds to the accelerating trend of Bitcoin miners moving to power AI. Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin warns against voting for political candidates based just on whether they have a pro-crypto stance. And Lumerin CEO Ryan Condron weighs in on how Bitcoin miners have been reacting to the effects of the halving. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Crypto prices continue to move lower, with Bitcoin falling to the $63,000 level as of noon Eastern. That's after maintaining the $64,000 level the day before. Ether dipped to just under $3,400, and Polygon's Matic token dropped more than 5% to 52 cents. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin is cautioning against voting for political candidates based solely on whether they have adopted a pro-crypto stance. Buterin issued the warning in a blog post, writing that, quote, "The game of politics is much more complicated than just who wins the next election, and there are a lot of levers that your words and actions affect." Buterin made the post just as Donald Trump, who's positioned himself as the pro-crypto candidate for president, prepares to accept his party's nomination at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. It also came one day after venture capitalists Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz told employees of Andreessen Horowitz they plan to make significant donations to political action committees supporting Trump's campaign. In an episode of The Ben and Mark Show, which features the A16Z co-founders, Horowitz said that the Biden administration, in the form of the SEC and the FDIC, has fought them every step of the way by using very nefarious means, adding that the agencies have been losing most of the lawsuits against crypto firms. Fairshake, a super PAC backed by crypto's top companies, is now one of the top spending PACs in this election cycle. Next, BlockFi is expected to start interim crypto distributions through Coinbase this month. The bankrupt crypto lender BlockFi made the announcement in a series of posts on X yesterday. BlockFi said that, quote, "The distributions will be processed in batches in the coming months, and eligible clients will receive a notification to the BlockFi account email on file." It went on to say that non-U.S. clients are unable to receive funds at this time due to the regulatory requirements applicable to them. BlockFi filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in November 2022 in the wake of FTX's bankruptcy. BlockFi then began the process of asking the court to allow customer withdrawals that had been locked up on the platform. Now, back in March, FTX reached a settlement with BlockFi agreeing to pay up to $874 million. Last, a new multi-billion-dollar deal adds to the long list of crypto miners looking to trade Bitcoin for artificial intelligence. Houston-based tech company Lancium and Denver-based Crusoe Energy Systems inked a partnership to build a 200-megawatt data center just outside Abilene, Texas, one that's designed to meet the unique needs of AI companies. It's the first phase of a larger 1.2 gigawatt build-out. And at full capacity, Lancium President Ali Fenn tells CNBC that this will be one of the largest AI data center campuses in the world. Now, miners have been trying to diversify following the Bitcoin halving in April, where the business of generating new tokens has become much less profitable. Mining firms have expansive data centers with access to fiber lines and large amounts of power across the U.S., which are the kinds of facilities needed for compute-intensive AI operations. All right, sticking with Bitcoin miners and AI for our main story, I spoke with Ryan Condron, CEO of Web3 data routing protocol Lumerin, about the growing trend. He breaks down the role that Bitcoin mining plays in stabilizing power grids strained by AI data centers. So where do things stand right now in regards to Bitcoin mining? We've seen hash rate waver after the halving, but miners haven't really been selling their Bitcoin holdings. And in fact, Glassnode data showed that Bitcoin miner reserves have actually begun ticking up in July. So what do you make of where miners are at this point, a few months post-halving?
Yeah, I mean, since the halving, we saw a bit of a market pullback. So miners are speculating just like everyone else, thinking that as soon as the sideways summer ends, we're going to start seeing uptick in the fall. So you have a lot of miners banking on that.
Okay, so aside from the price of Bitcoin and the hash rate, there's been a narrative shift amongst Bitcoin miners. I just wrote a story about how miners in Texas are pivoting to AI, given that they already have much of the infrastructure in place to make that conversion relatively easily. What do you make of the shift that some miners are making toward this new demand for high power compute?
Yeah, really at the end of the day, miners are profit-driven animals. So they're going to go wherever they're going to get paid the most for their electricity, because the reality is electricity is the commodity that miners work with. So if they can get paid more from the Bitcoin network, they're going to mine Bitcoin. If they get paid more by doing AI compute, they're going to do AI compute. The difference is AI compute is very, very expensive to set up for miners. So there is a huge amount of upfront capital cost. So it is a massive commitment. When it comes to power grids, miners can't fully switch over to AI compute because it's not going to allow them to do what's called production following on the power grid. But they can switch over a little bit of their capacity to AI compute to try to get better profitability.
Now, on the flip side of that, some have argued that blockchain and AI could actually work together. There's an argument that some make that blockchain could help with verifying information that these models get wrong. Do you see a merging of those two technologies happening? And are the companies that are building out this high power compute for AI services in the best position to benefit?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the projects we're working on with the Lumerin team is a project called Morpheus, which is all around merging blockchain and AI, where we can have on-chain verifiability for different AI models, where you can have providers anywhere in the world provide anonymous, decentralized compute to AI users, is really going to be the next frontier for technology with the emergence of crypto and AI coming together.
Now, we've seen M&A and deal making among miners pick up a lot this year. How long do you expect that to continue?
Well, I think we're just starting to see the bloodbath. We're seeing miners are holding off as long as possible. We knew with the halving coming in, people were trying to retool, trying to cut the fat as much as possible, trying to slim up their OPEX. The reality is they're only going to be able to hold off for so long. A lot of miners are actually holding more Bitcoin, as you said earlier, trying to wait for the market to come back up in the fall. If the market comes back up in the fall, then they can sell their Bitcoin at a higher profit and they can stay solvent. If it doesn't come up fast enough, a lot of these miners are going to be going under and they're going to get gobbled up by the large publicly traded miners. Now, the publicly traded miners, because their goal is to just increase revenue regardless of profit, they can actually take a hit on profit by gobbling up these larger or these smaller miners and just continue to grow their revenue. And that's what they're going to do for their shareholders. So I really think more and more acquisitions are going to be happening through the fall and the winter. And it's going to be a bloodbath. I honestly think towards the winter and spring of next year, we are going to see a massive shift in hash rate among the publicly traded miners.
Now, there's also this criticism that mining facilities use a lot of power and AI data centers do too. Do you think that that continues to be a problem within the industry, even if they make the conversion? And how do you think they mitigate those concerns?
Yeah, so Bitcoin miners using a lot of power is actually a good thing for the power grid. It really allows power producers to be able to produce at a more optimized level. And Bitcoin miners can actually counterbalance power producers to balance the grid. AI compute cannot do that. Unfortunately, AI compute is not a flexible load like Bitcoin mining is. So as I said earlier, Bitcoin miners can only adjust so much over to AI compute. Now, what we see with AI compute is like an arms race. So we see Microsoft going into Arizona, trying to buy up a quarter of the nuclear power load in the middle of Arizona. We see a huge amount of AI compute facilities coming online, and it's really anywhere in the world there is enough electricity capacity. We're seeing more and more AI compute centers come in. The problem is they cannot load balance the grid like Bitcoin mining. So really at the end of the day, if you take a macro level look, Bitcoin mining will be the saving grace of AI compute in the world. And I don't think a lot of people have realized that yet, but it's really the only thing that makes sense.
Now, to change gears before I let you go, we're expecting any day now to get an answer on whether spot Ether ETFs will get approved in the U.S. Some say that the spot Bitcoin ETFs that got approved in January went a long way in terms of legitimizing the technology in the eyes of Wall Street. Do you see that being the case for these products? If they get approved, will they have as much of an impact as the Bitcoin funds?
So Bitcoin on a technology level is actually very, very simple. Ethereum is a lot more complex, and then Solana is even more complex after that. The problem is you have investors that will come in and they want to follow the momentum. So Bitcoin has a ton of momentum. You have a lot of countries adopting it, a lot of large institutions adopting it. So it makes sense for a lot of investors want to get involved with ETFs, even if they don't understand it. Now, when they start moving into Ethereum ETFs, they even understand, they understand it even less than what they understand Bitcoin.
It's not wrong.
So it's really going to be highly speculative. Now, if the SEC wants to approve that, I'm not an expert in that area, but it does seem to be that's where it's going. So whether it be a Ethereum ETF, Solana ETF, we do have a huge amount of education that we need to get out there to investors to understand what they're getting involved in, because it's really, really speculative at this point. What that's going to do for the markets, well, clearly when you have more investors coming in, it's going to drive the prices up. But they're going to be exposed to the volatility of crypto. I mean, I've been in crypto since 2012. A lot of my friends have been in crypto for over a decade now. So we're used to the ups and downs, the volatility. We believe in the technology. We know what's being created and we know the value of it. A lot of these ETF investors don't understand the technology. They don't know what they're investing in. And until they're properly educated, they're not going to see the value. But once that switch is flipped and they see the value, then it's going to be incredible. It's going to be to the moon, I'd imagine.
So we like to hear. To the moon. Perfect. That's what we want. All right. Last but not least, move on to the videos. I want to watch this. See what he's got to say over here on Shillcoin Daily. Altcoin Daily. Breaking major Donald Trump Bitcoin news. Let's see what he's got to say over here.
Breaking news, credible rumors are swirling. President Donald Trump is set to announce a strategic Bitcoin reserve policy for the United States next week at Bitcoin conference in Nashville.
I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin.
This potential move has sparked significant
That was the best. That was the best when he said that. Not gonna
interest
lie.
and speculation within the cryptocurrency community,
And her
with many
goons.
expressing bullish sentiments about the impact such a policy could have on Bitcoin's value and the U.S. economy. Backing the U.S. dollar with Bitcoin. Where have I heard this before? This sounds like a policy taken right out of Robert Kennedy Jr.'s policy book. You remember, this is one of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s promises to the American people.
The Kennedy administration will exempt the conversion of Bitcoin to the U.S. dollar from capital gains taxes. Benefits of this policy, I think, are so great to our country that they dwarf the disadvantages of that outcome. Secondly, the Kennedy administration will begin to back the U.S. dollar with real finite assets, such as gold, silver, platinum, and Bitcoin, which is the world's hardest liquid asset, to strengthen the U.S. dollar and guarantee its continued success as the world reserve currency. This will include U.S. Treasury bills, notes, and bonds. My plan would be to start very, very small. Perhaps 1% of issued T-bills would be backed by hard currency, by gold, silver, platinum, or Bitcoin. And then, depending on the outcome, we would increase that annually. And what this will do is it will ironically, we will be able to use Bitcoin to help save the U.S. dollar.
Kennedy and Trump are friends.
Perfect.
Kennedy and Trump do communicate.
And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're way ahead of the guy. And, he's interesting. It was very nice, actually. He called me.
It sounds like Trump and Kennedy brainstormed on this. I'm sure David Bailey, founder of the Bitcoin conference, has told Trump, you can gain a lot of positive press if you make a major announcement at our conference.
That dude must have looked at this video after and been like, dude, why did nobody tell me my hair was sticking out like that?
We're thrilled to have the president speaking in what is going to be a historic speech on Bitcoin policy and his agenda as of the new administration. We've been working with the Trump campaign for several months, advising them on different policy platform items that our industry cares about, our community cares about, and really helping lay the case for the amount of votes and the amount of dollars that our industry can deliver for the campaign. So we've been very thankful for their support. Donald Trump is a businessman first and foremost, and he sees a good opportunity. And Bitcoin is the greatest opportunity for this country. So we're very thankful to be partnered with him.
And now it seems like Trump is doing this. What do you think? Will it happen? Is this a good idea? One thing's for sure, it seems like Trump truly is into crypto in a huge way. New. President Trump says that his experience with Bitcoin and crypto has been eye-opening. Quote, I don't want to be responsible for another country taking over this sphere. And of course, we continue hearing him say stuff like this.
To further secure America's future and create opportunity for young people, I will end Joe Biden's war on crypto. We will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America. Otherwise, other countries are going to have it.
Another breaking piece of news, and all of this political crypto news is coming out because the RNC is having their convention this week. Donald Trump says that JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon no longer is a Bitcoin critic and is considering Jamie Dimon for U.S. Secretary of Treasury.
Just kidding, but that is obnoxious, and that should not happen. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Dimon has been a long-standing critic of Bitcoin and crypto, but Trump recently shared that his stance has softened in recent months. Trump told Newswire, I've gotten to know people in the industry. They're top-flight people. You ask Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon was, you know, very negative, and now all of a sudden he's changed his tune a little bit. He is somebody I would consider, sure. So it does seem that President Donald Trump is considering JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon for the position of Treasury Secretary. Bro, imagine if Donald Trump makes Jamie Dimon the Secretary of Treasury and then orders him to add Bitcoin to the United States balance sheet.
That would be fucking amazing for Bitcoin. I'm not going to lie, but Jamie Dimon is a complete piece of shit. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. He's a dink.
It's just so surprising because
because he'll sit there and say all this bad shit about Bitcoin and then he'll just buy it in the background. and just completely undermine everything he says. It's ridiculous.
Decade now, Jamie Dimon has been coming out almost every 6 months, fudding Bitcoin, fudding crypto.
Care less about Bitcoin. I don't know why I said anything about it. I don't personally understand the value of something that has no actual value.
Bitcoin hit a new high today.
I could care less what Bitcoin trades for, how it trades, why it trades, who trades it. If you're stupid enough to buy it, you'll pay the price for it one day. So tulip bulbs traded for $75,000 once, something like that. So every day you have CNBC nonstop Bitcoin. Who cares about Bitcoin?
Well, guess what? How much money would you have made if you actually just bought it in 2017, you dope?
I think that Bitcoin is worthless. But I don't want to be exposed to it. I don't care. It makes no difference to me.
I think there's a good chance that when we get to that 20 million Bitcoins,
they go to 42.
No, that Satoshi's going to come on there, laugh hysterically, go quiet, all Bitcoin's going to be erased.
I think, man.
Regardless, we're all going to be dead by then, so who cares? Benefit now, bitches.
How the hell do you know it's going to stop at 21? Bitcoin itself is a hyped up fraud. It's a pet rock.
You're back to that?
Yeah,
really?
Of course, yeah. I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case. If I were the government, I'd close it down.
I will end Joe Biden's war on crypto, and we will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America. We're going to keep it right here.
And now he's changed his tune? Hot take, Jamie Dimon has not suddenly changed his tune on Bitcoin. He has always been pro-crypto, secretly.
Yep.
His company, JP Morgan, has been involved.
That's why he's a piece of shit. And it's not, it's because of him lying and telling people he doesn't like crypto and all this bullshit. But again, there has been proof that he's been buying it in the background.
With crypto, we share this with you.
So
now that he wants to become Treasury Secretary under Trump, he embraces Bitcoin publicly. Watch what they do, not what they say. And in a triple whammy like I've never seen before, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says Bitcoin has, quote, staying power as an asset class. He says central banks should get more involved with overseeing stablecoins, and crypto, Bitcoin, the asset class, has staying power. It seems like all of those years where we simply tried to explain Bitcoin to people to help them try to understand, this has finally worked. Bitcoin explained in 23 seconds.
So just to be clear, Bitcoin is a non-sovereign, hard cap supply, global, immutable, decentralized, digital store of value. And that's a lot of different adjectives.
but all of them are very important. And what that leads us to is it is a hedge against monetary and fiscal irresponsibility from central banks and governments globally.
And people are starting to get it as net ETF inflows make a new high. The Bitcoin ETFs did 53 million yesterday. That makes the 9th consecutive day of inflows. Maybe today is the 10th. Next week, 10 new ETH ETFs will launch. Can we hope for the same? That's right, my friends. Ethereum is about to be the top story in crypto in many ways in the following months. Ethereum ETFs set to launch July 23rd. And we're seeing the effects of that in real time. Ethereum supply crisis is looming. Exchange balance is down to 10.2%, while 39.3% of ETH is locked in smart contracts. Most investors still don't realize how tight the ETH supply side is and how big the effects of the ETF will be. So we got Bitcoin ETFs, we got Ethereum ETFs, institutions stacking crypto. We have the most successful ETF launch in history narrative. We have Trump endorsing Bitcoin. We have a pro-Bitcoin VP candidate. We have Michael Dell of Dell Computers hinting he likes Bitcoin. Dell might buy Bitcoin. Larry Fink, bullish on Bitcoin and tokenization. Jamie Dimon changing his tune. Rumors on a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Imagine if just one of these things happened in 2017. It would be world news. Today, almost the entire world sleeps on this news. Get ready for this to happen like it's happened every cycle. Past results don't guarantee future.
Who named it the banana zone? Fire that guy.
Performance, but we are forming a launch pad that I hope takes us into the banana zone. Do you think the rumors that Trump wants to back the US dollar with Bitcoin are true? I'm seriously curious to hear what you think. We can talk about it on YouTube. We can talk about
pretty cool. Anyways, I mean, I know you guys don't like Altcoin Daily, or some of you guys don't, but regardless, again, I watch this to educate myself on crypto news because he finds things that I won't typically find, right? So is what it is. That was actually a pretty decent video though. He had a lot of stuff going on there. All right, let's see. Recap for anybody that's just joining. Again, happy Friday. Bitcoin 65,150 bucks. Hell yeah. Ethereum 34.47. Solana 166 bucks. Perfect. We have XRP 55 cents. Caspa 18 cents. Hell yeah, it's over 18 cents now. 18.1. We have Litecoin $71.26. Not too bad. ETC's 23 bucks. Dogecoin 12 cents. Shiba down almost 1%, and Pepe is down 0.78%. Interesting. If anybody cares about anything else, I apologize. Nothing else really jumping out at me. Wow, things changed a bit here on the day. Looks like Popcat went back up 9.3%. Interesting. Renders up 3.6%. Hell yeah, that's good. It's still down though. Bonk 6.2%. Brett 5.5% up. WorldCoin still down 7.5%. Very crazy. What's the biggest earner of the week? Let's see. Everything looks good. Seems to be this Popcat one though. Meme coin. Interesting. Crazy. People in their meme coins. Again, Flashbang Fear and Greed Index at a 60. We're holding pretty strong. Yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens. But guys, that's gonna do it. It is Friday. I am gonna leave you guys with this. Hopefully you guys have a great, fantastic, and happy Friday. And I'll catch you guys not tomorrow morning, but I'll catch you guys tomorrow night for Misfit Mining Saturday Night Live. Have a good one and peace out. Let's do it. Let me figure out how to switch my screen. There we go.
I wanna hold on till I can't no more.
Have a happy and safe Friday, everybody. Catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Spit on that thing.
Eat shit, Gary.